Welcome to the Two Opinionated Brothers Podcast with Smart Jarvis and Big Sam. This podcast, opinions, and views are simply those of the two opinionated brothers. So don't trip.
Big Sam, how you doing tonight?
Feeling pretty good, Jarvis. How about yourself? It's been a good day, man.
Good day for who?
For America. What are we here to talk about?
What was the good day for America?
What are we here to talk about?
What has transpired today that was so good for the United States of America?
Good day for America. Do you live in America?
I do.
Oh, okay. Do you pay attention to current events?
As much as possible.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you should know it's a good day in America.
Why is it a good day in America?
Well, for one, the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development was in Baltimore today, delivering a speech. Did you get a chance to hear that speech?
I did not. Why is he there instead of the Commander-in-Chief? The Commander-in-Chief said nobody would want to live there. Said it's rat and roach infested. Why didn't he step down there? Now they tell me his son-in-law got property there.
Well, okay.
And some of his property was rodent infested. And he had to get some stuff cleaned up. So maybe it's his son-in-law's fault that Baltimore is in such bad shape.
You got all that off your chest.
Maybe if he maybe if Kushner cleaned up his properties, it would significantly reduce the amount of rodents in Baltimore.
Are you done?
Go ahead, son.
Are you done?
I'm just trying to get to the.
Just
trying to get to the crux of the matter. Go ahead.
Number one, Dr. Ben Carson is the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development.
So they tell me that.
Baltimore.
Say he doesn't know much about that job, but go ahead, bro.
He's the Secretary.
Yes, he is.
Of Housing and Urban Development.
He is.
Right. So if you have an urban area that has a housing crisis in need of development, who do you send?
Okay, go ahead.
Now, whose responsibility is it to be there? Okay.
I'm not disputing that part of his job is to check on urban areas.
Sure.
What I'm saying is the reason he's there is because of the controversy, okay, that the president has caused by the statements he made, racist statements about the city of Baltimore. And Mr. Elijah Cummings said he stole billions of dollars.
Yeah, over $15 billion.
I guess Mr. Cummings got $15 billion buried in his backyard somewhere in Mason jar.
We're gonna see. So what I'm saying is, when this special prosecutor gets involved,
he tell him why don't he take his committee and start investigating himself in Baltimore?
Yeah.
Maybe he can find the billions of dollars.
We're gonna see when the special prosecutor gets involved. $15 billion, man, in 2 years.
Well, that's what they say. I haven't fact checked that, so I don't know if that's the accurate
maybe
number.
Not billion, maybe it's million.
The president said billions.
Did he say billions?
He said billions.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about in the last 2 years.
Okay. Well, he said billions. I'm telling you what your commander-in-chief said.
And 6. No, it was 6 and 17 and 9 and 18. And we're on record to surpass that this year.
Let me ask you this: was Donald Trump president in 17 and 18?
By my calculation, he was.
So this is not only Elijah Cummings' problem; it's his problem because he's the commander-in-chief of the United States of America.
And I'm holding him accountable to find out what the heck is going on, man.
Okay.
Back to
why was today a great day again? Simply because Ben Carson was there?
I'm just saying it's a great day.
I need to know why it's a great day. What has transpired? Okay, that should make me as an American feel like this was an historic day.
Okay, well, number one.
Okay.
Right before you came in, I don't know if you keep up with current events, but
I was busy driving.
A video has been released.
Okay.
Recently, that shows Elijah Cummings referring to Baltimore as rat infested, and the citizens being drug dosed. Some of the citizens being zombies because of the opioid problem and the drug usage.
Okay.
And so on and so forth. Yeah. So it's a great day in America when you can speak truth to a problem.
Well, let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. Are you suggesting that because I hadn't seen or heard this video, but are you suggesting that because Elijah Cummings may have made a comment like that somehow it excuses the commander-in-chief?
No, what I'm saying is...
Well, hold on.
Excuse the commander-in-chief for what?
From making the comments that he made. He made derogatory comments publicly about his citizens. You agree that...
What did he say about his citizens?
You agree that the people...
What did he say about his citizens?
Well, he said...
To me, he was addressing rodents and buildings.
Well, and he was using the term infested, said no human being would want to live there. But in fact, human beings do live there.
Do they want to is the question.
How does he know?
I'm asking
Has he been to Baltimore and asked anyone? Has he went to Baltimore and polled?
If your home was rat infested, would you want to live there?
Perhaps.
Oh, perhaps.
Perhaps. Has he
Once
gone
again, America, Jarvis refuses to take a stance on anything.
Has he gone to Baltimore and polled the citizens to see if they want to be there?
I don't know.
Do you agree that everyone that lives
the 45th president of the United States, I don't know that he's actually at this point in his presidency has had time to walk the streets of Baltimore.
Well, maybe he should walk the streets before he makes those type of comments.
Maybe he should walk that there will be a Republican rally, campaign rally.
Maybe he should get his hands dirty before he makes those type of comments about the city? Prior to.
Well, like I said, I mean, I'm sure he's again,
what?
You're asking me to defend Donald Trump. And
no, I'm not asking you to defend him.
The conversation is the area has a problem. Right?
No question about it.
For the first
like
time,
many cities do.
For the first
There's problems in Washington, D.C.
For the first
he lives
time,
there, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Joe Biden. No, not Joe Biden. What's your guy's name? Uncle Bernie.
Yeah, my guy.
He refers to Baltimore as a third world country. You hadn't heard that either, have you?
I think I do remember that comment.
Yeah, but is he racist?
Well, he was. Well. First off, we're not labeling Trump racist.
You just said his statements was racist.
Well, if you let me finish the statement,
was Bernie's statements racist?
We're not labeling Trump racist because of one statement.
Is Trump a racist?
Whoa. We're not labeling Trump racist because of one statement. Okay. He's made a multitude of statements that would allow an individual like me to deduce. Okay, that he's racist.
Maybe.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's probable. It's very probable that.
If you can't figure it out, I don't know what to tell you, sir.
It's very probable.
If you can't figure it out, I don't know what to tell you.
But rather than trying to figure out whether or not Trump is a racist, let's try to figure out how do we address this problem in Baltimore.
Let me ask you this: we're in Alabama.
That in 2000, it takes a racist president in 2019. But see, Jarvis, this is what I don't understand about you. You yourself said a few podcasts ago that.
Why are you always referring back to stuff I said in the past?
Because I have to keep you on track.
Well, you don't have to keep me on track.
You said yourself a few podcasts ago that America should be diverting some of the money spent trying to take at the border.
Absolutely.
Right? And all these other countries in the world.
Absolutely.
And focusing that money on our communities.
Who said? I'm still saying that.
Okay, so what
Trump, that doesn't mean the president has to make racist statements.
So Trump says, "Hey, man, instead of worrying about whatever he was worrying about, go back to your city and help those people there that have been trying to get help from the Democratic Party for years."
Well, they've been trying to get help from the United States of America.
Yeah.
The problem is everyone's problem.
The problem is that no, you're right. It is everyone's problem.
Okay. Make sure
but the problem is cities like Baltimore, right, and us as African Americans, right, have put our faith and our loyalty in African Americans.
Black folks
have put our faith and our loyalty in a party that has forgotten who we are.
Has forgotten. It's no question. I have problems with the Democratic Party. No question about that. I have problems with the Democratic Party.
Maryland is a democratically run state and city, right? Would you agree?
I've got problems with the Democratic Party, and most of the top officials are black.
But it takes a racist president, right, to address the issue. And now I'm willing to bet now something's going to happen in Baltimore.
See, here's
something going to happen in Baltimore, Jarvis?
I certainly hope it does. Here's the point you're missing, okay? I'm not upset with the president for calling out poor conditions in Baltimore. He could have said that without being demeaning to the residents of Baltimore.
He's a jerk.
He's more than a jerk. He's a racist.
In your opinion.
Oh, well, I mean, he's a racist to anyone with half a brain. Right. So whether or not you have a half a brain, Sam, that's for you to, at night when you're laying down and counting sleep, you can decide that. But anyone with half a brain knows he's a racist.
A third world country. Is he a racist? Bernie Sanders called Baltimore a third world country.
He probably said if I remember his statement, he said the conditions in Baltimore and some of our urban areas like Chicago as well are tantamount to a third world country because of the poverty, lack of jobs, poor living conditions, etc. Crime. That's probably what he said.
All right.
That's much different than what Trump was saying.
No human wants to live in a rat infested, whatever he called it. I don't even know.
Well, first off, he made a blanket statement about Baltimore as if the entire city of Baltimore is in shambles, and it's not. Just like the entire city of Chicago is not in shambles. Let me ask you this: do we have rats here in Alabama?
thank God I hadn't seen one.
You haven't seen any?
I hadn't been here since '99. Now I don't know that they may be here.
Well,
they may be here.
You probably
but
live.
Thank God I'm a Christian. So
you probably living like a fat cat. So I'm here to tell you there's rats.
I just don't have rats.
I'm here to tell you there's rats in Alabama.
Okay.
I've never heard.
You often frequent places with rats, Jarvis?
I frequent places that are open to the public. And if they happen to have a rat in them, then hopefully they're doing what they need to do to take care of that infestation. What I'm saying is, has the president ever called?
Audience of two opinionated brothers.
Has he ever?
The last place that you saw a rat, that you frequent, and you saw a rat.
I think I was outside of some bar and grill and saw a rat out near the dumpster. I'm not going to call out the name of the bar and grill.
Good choice.
They've actually got good hot wings there, so I'm not going to. Hopefully they took care of that. I'm not going to call them out.
Outside in the dumpster, huh? Near the dumpster. Of course, that's where you would see a rat.
Yeah.
You would lead the listening public to believe that it's just common. Rats are everywhere, right? There's rats in Huntsville, but surely that's not what the president is talking about.
You think there's rats in a colder environment like Baltimore, but there's none down in the South.
Well, I don't know.
In Alabama.
I read somewhere this morning that there's over 16,500 vacant buildings today in Baltimore.
In Huntsville?
In Baltimore. And that's after, I think it was something like $26 million were spent to tear down the vacant buildings.
What does that have to do with the president making racist, insensitive, and derogatory statements about a city that has human beings that live in it? He could have said, "Hey, Elijah Cummings needs to really work on his constituents in his community because they've got some major problems down there." He could have said that. He didn't have to call them infested. There's rats here in Alabama. He doesn't call any red state or any city that's majority white. He doesn't say that's infested. You don't think there's you don't think there's trailer parks in red states that are rodent infested?
Probably.
Oh, I guarantee you.
But they're not attacking Donald Trump.
Oh, okay. So when you attack him, he can. So it's okay to be racist when you attack.
Mike Tyson could.
Did the citizens of Baltimore attack? Did the citizens of Baltimore attack?
Their representative did.
Okay. So attack Elijah Cummings.
He did.
Attack Elijah Cummings. You don't have to throw it. You don't have to demean his citizens. You don't have to demean his citizens.
Worry about your own front porch before you sweep across somebody.
You don't have to demean his citizens.
Well, he
could have came at him.
He didn't say anything.
He could have attacked
about
him.
His citizens.
Okay.
In fact, he brought to light the living conditions. Now, listen, I'm not here to defend.
Yes, you are.
Whether or not Trump is a racist or not.
That's your guy.
What I'm saying is
because you're not brave enough to call him what he is.
Baltimore.
That's the first problem.
Like
very disappointing.
Quite a few. Baltimore at one time was the number 6 largest city in America, in the country. Did you know that?
What's your point?
You know where it
I
is
didn't ask
now?
for a history lesson.
Well,
What's
I
your
want
point?
you to know. But
We're talking about the words of a racist president.
Let's just talk about it.
Okay.
The issue is something needs.
You lack fortitude, Sam.
Something needs to be done.
The race is right in front of your face, and you're not courageous enough to call him what he is.
I think that a lot of people in power in this country, in the industries that we work in our communities, are racist.
Oh, no question about it. Apparently they finally revealed some tape of Ronald Reagan.
You didn't think he was a racist?
I don't want to say I.
Now watch this.
assumed.
Now watch this.
It wasn't surprising.
Some people would say Al Sharpton is a racist.
That's what the commander in chief said.
Some people. What say you?
I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Did they call him a racist?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Because he's fighting back.
Well, I don't. What were the examples that he cited that would indicate that Al Sharpton is a racist? What?
Oh, so you've never heard Al Sharpton speak at all in reference to white people?
What did he say that would indicate he was racist? Just give me an example. You love to give examples. You always going back 7-8 podcasts and telling me what I said. Stuff I don't even remember. So what did Al Sharpton say that made him a racist? You don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, so whatever Trump says, you just follow him like a zombie.
Sir,
you believe him.
But what I do know is after hearing people speak.
What people?
Listening to
what
people speak.
Who? Crackheads?
I don't know. Is
Who
Al
you talking
Sharpton a
about?
crackhead? He did have some scandal surrounding prostitutes and.
What does that have to do with crack cocaine?
Oh, well, I was going to say in drugs.
What kind of drugs?
I don't know.
Marijuana?
I wasn't there, Jarvis.
You talking about marijuana?
I wasn't there.
Okay, so
you
just bring us.
Maybe he was in.
Maybe he was with.
I don't know. I'm not trying to bring down our.
From all accounts, he was a hell of a mayor.
But what I'm saying is he spoke. He has a history of speaking a lot of what people would call racially insensitive terms, but it's okay.
Racially insensitive and racist are two different things. You understand that, right?
I don't know. Is it? In your opinion? Okay. I mean, it depends on who.
You understand the definition of racist, don't you? Okay, well, never mind.
Help me out.
No, look, you got a phone right there. You've got a phone right there. Look it up on your dictionary app, and you read it out loud. You can read out loud, right?
Yeah, but I don't have good service right here. I was trying to look at some things earlier.
Okay, well, never mind then.
Well, all I'm saying
we'll give that lesson next. On the next podcast, ladies and gentlemen, I'll teach Sam what the definition of racism is.
That for the first time in a long time, the city of Baltimore is posed in a position to get some well-needed help that it needs to get where it needs to be.
Could they get the same help without being demeaned by the commander in chief? What you're saying is the ends justify the means.
No,
so you're saying the president can be racist, do whatever he wants to do, and if a city or some people get some attention, it's all good. That's what you're basically saying.
Sir,
you just said it.
What I'm saying.
That's what you're inferring.
If we look at this situation,
you don't like to admit when you're wrong, do you?
The president of the United States did not speak particularly to any person or people there.
Yes, he did. He spoke to all people.
In fact, what he said,
he spoke to all people.
Those people who live there probably aren't too excited to be living in the conditions.
How does he know that? How does he know
He's
that?
the president of the United States.
So he's never been there.
He's the head of the greatest intelligence agencies in the world.
He doesn't listen to him.
I'm sure.
He doesn't listen to him. I don't care about that. What do you mean?
I'm sure.
What do you mean? They tell him one thing and he says something else.
I don't know, Jarvis.
What do you mean you don't know?
We're talking about Baltimore.
Okay,
is Baltimore?
You brought up intelligence agencies.
Is
you brought up intelligence agencies.
Well, you asked me how he knows. The only plausible answer I have is FBI and CIA.
You think the CIA is briefing the president on Baltimore?
It could.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
In your opinion?
No, it's not.
You have no idea what the CIA.
Sense.
Okay. It's common sense that Baltimore is rat infested, right?
This is ridiculous. No, it's not. It's not common sense.
People on both sides.
Areas of Baltimore probably have rodents, just like areas of Alabama, areas of Huntsville have rats. If me and you go out, if I take you out to the field behind my house, I bet you we'll find some rats.
Yeah. Well, but we're not talking about country fields, Jarvis.
Okay.
We're talking about places where people are expected to raise their families.
If you leave your back door open, I bet your rat will run in there. If you leave it open long enough.
And I don't leave my back door open.
Well,
so what we're trying to say is the people who can close their back doors, right, and close their front doors have to worry about the rats coming out the walls, have to worry about the rats coming out the roof.
Well, a lot of those people lived in Kushner's property. So maybe
he needs to be held accountable.
Yes, he does. So maybe if the president's son-in-law would clean up some of his properties, those residents wouldn't be living in rat-infested properties.
We're what, Jarvis?
One lady said she could hear the rats. One lady said she could hear the rats gnawing up in her ceiling or something.
We are a nation of laws.
Okay.
Right? And if Jared Kushner has broken the law, he needs to be held to and prosecuted.
Well, the president's broken some laws. He's not going to be locked up.
Lock him up.
The wealthy and the powerful don't live by the same set of rules that you and I do.
This week, man, Bernie Sanders.
You just changed the subject.
Yeah,
okay, that's fine.
You're talking crazy. Bernie Sanders campaign. I read. Do you read, Jarvis? Do you read?
From time to time.
Bernie Sanders had to, after the last debate.
Hope this is more interesting than your last
I don't know if it's interesting or not, but one of the main things that Bernie Sanders and some of his counterparts are pushing is a $15 minimum wage.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, I'm hearing that.
After some investigation, it was determined that not all of Bernie Sanders' campaign staffers were being paid $15 an hour. Did you know that?
I heard that, yes.
You heard that, yeah. And so they had to what? Freeze employment.
What's the point we're getting at? What's the point we're getting at?
Well, he had to make some adjustments.
What's the point we're trying to make
so
here?
that he could afford to pay all of his people $15 an hour.
What's the point you're making here?
If he in his campaign can't feasibly pay everybody $15 an hour, what makes him think
this is such an asinine comparison?
What makes him think?
You've got to be smarter than
what
this.
Makes him
You've got to be smarter than
this.
this.
Well, answer the question. He himself couldn't do it without cutting back, laying off people, cutting hours, so that he could afford to pay people $15. How is it ridiculous?
This is an apples and oranges comparison.
Oh, so who's the apples and who's the oranges?
Let's take Walmart. You don't think Walmart can afford to pay all their employees $15 an hour?
I don't think that Walmart can afford to employ everybody in the United States.
Well, obviously they're not going to employ everyone. That's stupid. Are we going to have a serious conversation? You're going to keep saying stupid stuff.
Why do you pick one of the largest employers in the country?
Because it's just an example.
Okay.
Can Walmart not pay their employees $15 an hour? You don't know that either. You don't know anything.
I don't know.
What do you know today, Sam?
I don't know. Well,
I don't even know why we're talking.
I just told
Clearly, you know nothing. I know everything, so I don't know why we're talking. We need to turn this to one opinionated brother, and I'll just come in here and talk to myself. I'll ask the question, then I'll go to the other mic and I'll answer.
Just because they got 1 million stores, if that's how many they have, it's just like you see a guy in nice clothes and a nice car, you figure, oh, he's got a lot of money. Right?
That's not necessarily the case.
I don't know what Walmart.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know what
we know Walmart makes money.
Okay.
Well, when they have 2 or 3 family members that are the top 10 richest people in the world, that means they're making money.
And your point?
Okay.
What's your point?
If you don't see the point, then I don't know. What was your point, Sam?
My point
I'm just so disgusted. Last week I was disgusted with you. I came in here with a new outlook on life, an outlook on this podcast. I had reevaluated our friendship for a while, but I said, I'm going to give this young man another chance. And then you come in here saying this stupid stuff.
Are you done?
No, I'm not done. Let me tell you what else I don't like about you. I don't like the way you got that shirt buttoned up.
That's fine. The very thing that Bernie Sanders is saying would be easy for every small business owner. Again, but my point is, we're not talking about the Walmarts of the world.
Who are we talking about?
Small business owners.
Give me an example of one that you think
Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign for 2020.
His campaign is not a small business.
Oh, it's not?
No, it's not a small business.
Does it have employees?
So that's absolutely ridiculous.
Does it have employees?
It's ridiculous.
Does it have employees?
I'm not going to sit here and entertain this ridiculous
You're not going to entertain whether or not this man has employees?
We're talking about businesses.
We're talking about Walmart.
No, we can talk about any small business. Any small business, they can afford, the majority of them could afford to pay their people $15 an hour. And you know why they can afford to do it? Because if we made that the standard and all their competitors were paying $15 an hour and they had to pay $15 an hour to get employees, otherwise they'd go work somewhere else, they'd figure out a way to pay them $15 an hour. Most of it would be done by taking a few extra dollars out of the pocket of whoever the CEO or the owner was. See, that's where the problem comes in. And that's why I use Walmart as an example, because Walmart would often say, or proponents or people that were against, raising the minimum wage would say stuff like, well, if you raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, Walmart's going to have to increase the price of their products. Well, no, they're not. They could just not take home the CEOs and the owners of Walmart, the Walton family. They could just not take home as much profit as they typically do, and they could still afford to pay the product. I remember one time, just to give you a real life example, I was working for a defense contractor, okay, and they said that they couldn't give out raises that particular year. Okay, but when the financial statements came out, they showed the bonuses and stock options that went to the CEO, right? And at that time, that defense contractor had about 65,000 to 70,000 employees. So we ran the numbers of what he was getting for bonuses and stock options in that particular year and divided by the 70,000 employees. And you know what we found? That if he would have said, you know what, I make this every year, I'm not going to take this much in, he could have given every employee for that particular defense contractor a $3,000 or $4,000 raise. But he didn't want to do that because you got 50 million, you got to have 100 million. You got 100 million, you got to have 150 million. See, that's the greed that we have in this corporate culture. So that's what it is. It's about, we want to keep the poor people at the bottom, right? So if we can continue to pay them 5, 6, 7, whatever we're paying them an hour, they're never going to be owners of anything. They're always going to be under the thumb of the rich and powerful, and then they can live like fat cats.
So let me ask you this. Okay. So it seems like you're pretty passionate. You're pretty passionate about that, right?
I'm passionate about you not coming on here and spitting foolishness.
Do you believe that to the core of your being, that Walmart is getting over on its employees?
I don't know about no core of my being. I just know what the facts are.
Why do you shop at Walmart?
People shop there for convenience.
Why do you shop at Walmart?
Well, they've almost got a monopoly.
Oh, okay. So
they've almost got a monopoly.
So your hands tied behind your back, you've got to go to Walmart and support them.
Well, first off, let's not use me as an example.
How are we not using you?
Let me tell you why.
This is your opinion.
Well, let me tell you why it's not good to use me as an example. I'm not living the lifestyle of the rich and famous, right? However, I do pretty good. So what that means is that if I wanted to bypass Walmart and go shop at Target or go shop at some other store that milk and stuff, Whole Foods, I could do it, right? I could do it, no problem. What we're talking about is the lower income people that don't have an option. The people that can't afford to go all the way down to the other side of town to shop at another store, so they have to go to Walmart.
I know why they shop at Walmart.
That's
my question.
That's the majority of their income.
Shop at Walmart?
That's the majority of their income. You realize that, right?
No.
The majority of super wealthy people don't shop at Walmart.
You are one voice. Okay. Right? If you truly believe that Walmart is an evil conglomerate that is taking advantage of poor people and its employees, right? Why do you take your money there?
Well, first off, I'm not saying Walmart's an evil conglomerate.
You just did.
No.
You said they're greedy.
They are.
Is greed not one of the 7 deadly sins?
Okay, again, I didn't say they were evil conglomerate.
They're greedy.
They're greedy.
Greed is one of the 7 deadly sins.
But they're just a symptom of the larger problem.
Oh, okay.
The system is the problem.
So there's nowhere else you can spend your money.
The system allows them to be greedy.
There's nowhere else you can spend your money.
Well, I guess you could. You could go to, instead of going to Walmart and getting everything you need in one-stop shop, you could go to 5 different stores. Mm-hmm. You could go you could drive over here and get your tires changed, wait for 2 hours, get those changed, then go over here and get your groceries, shop for an hour, then leave there, go over here and buy some furniture, then leave there, go over here and get some pet food. You could go to 5 different stores and do it.
That would be an inconvenience to you, right?
It would be. But again, I could do it.
So your convenience is more important than the people that got the thumb.
You're missing. Well, I'm not even going to say you're missing the point. You're actually the worst type of individual. You're smart enough to understand what I'm saying, but you play dumb.
Folks.
So that's what you do. Yeah, you play dumb. You play dumb. You know what we're talking about.
I absolutely know what we're talking about.
Poorer people,
passing the
lower income people.
Blame Walmart.
That can't make those decisions.
Blame this thing. Blame this.
I'm not blaming Walmart. I'm blaming the system that we live in.
What system?
The system.
It's called social, and it's not socialism. What do we live in? Not socialism. What's the opposite?
You're looking for capitalism.
Capitalism.
I've got to make my argument. Then I've got to help you make your argument because you don't know terms.
I don't know terms, man. I don't know terms.
Man, I've got some partying to do, man.
It's called capitalism.
I'm not gonna fool with you all night, man.
If you don't like what Walmart pays its employees,
I'm not fooling with you all night.
Don't shop at Walmart.
Yeah, I could. You're absolutely right.
If you don't like what Target pays its employees, don't shop at Target.
I didn't bring up Target. I didn't bring up Target.
When we didn't like the way the NFL treated
Don't go after
Kaepernick.
Target. Don't come for Target.
When we didn't like the way the NFL treated Kaepernick, what do we do?
Don't come for Target.
Black out the NFL.
Don't come for Target.
Until Super Bowl Sunday.
Walmart.
What are you talking about?
We're talking about Walmart. I didn't make any derogatory remarks about Target. I'm just letting you know, man. Don't disrespect Target.
I can't afford to shop at Target.
Well, that's your problem, man. Don't disrespect Target.
I shop at Walmart.
You should. Your president has wages for African Americans the highest they've ever been. So you should be able to afford to go to Target.
In decades.
Oh, okay. That's just
unemployment.
That's fake news.
How's that fake news?
That's fake news.
How is that fake news?
Hey man, it's about time for me to roll out, man. What else you got, man?
How is that fake news?
What else you got, man?
I'm
tired of talking about this.
Come on, you ain't even been here 20 minutes.
How
is that fake news?
Let me break something to you.
How is unemployment
Let me break something to you, son.
The lowest
as the star of this show, I show up when I get ready, okay?
In decades.
That's your problem.
That fake news? Oh, this is Obama's economy. We're living in, right?
It is. Right.
So who coached the Tide before Saban?
I don't remember.
Nobody remembers, but I guess he has a part to play.
He didn't win. He didn't win championships.
Oh, okay.
He didn't win championships.
But he put in the groundwork so that
he didn't win championships. Obama won championships. So look, I'm not the biggest Obama fan, but he's much better than who we got. Well, hell, anybody can be better than the guy. I know it's a guy that's sitting under the damn bridge over there. We can put up there and do a better job than Trump.
Before Nick Saban laid the groundwork for Nick Saban to do what he did, right?
No, he didn't.
Well, Obama laid the groundwork for Trump.
That's totally different.
Okay, now we're back to these apples and oranges, guys.
The president.
Is anything relative?
The coach before Saban got fired. Okay, Obama didn't get fired. He had to leave.
The Democratic Party got fired.
He had to leave. No, he had to leave. He had to leave.
The Democratic Party got fired.
I wouldn't say that. We know that. That's how elections kind of roll, man. That's how they roll. You know that.
What do you mean?
That's just like
that's how they roll.
That's just like the Republicans lost bad in the midterm. Mm. Whoever's in power, that we know that. I'm not making this comment. You have a bet.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself, man.
Do you have anything else to talk about?
Biden,
I'm about ready to
man.
roll out, man. I'm not talking about Biden, man.
Can I just say this?
We'll talk about him next week.
Give me your opinion. Just real quick. Give me your opinion, because this is breaking news just happened.
Ain't no breaking news, man.
Breaking news just happened.
Give it to me.
You know, there's a Democratic debate tonight.
Yeah, it was one last night, too.
And one last night, part two.
I guess
tonight,
it was the B side last night, and this the A side.
The clown wouldn't even put his hand over his heart.
Who was
for
that?
The national anthem.
Which one?
One of those candidates.
I like that Williams or Williamson lady last night.
One of those candidates up there wouldn't even put his hand over his heart for the national anthem.
Maybe he was nervous.
Well, like.
Anyway, go ahead, man. What you got on Biden,
call
man?
his mom a son of a bitch like Trump called.
Hey, man.
Like Trump called.
My mom listens to this podcast, man. Sorry, Mom.
Hey, listen to me. So Biden walks out on the stage tonight. Kamala Harris. You familiar with her?
What's her name?
Camilla Harris.
That's not her name.
What is her name?
Kamala.
Camilla.
No,
Okay,
it's
I'm
totally
sorry.
different.
I apologize. I'm not a racist.
Actually,
I just mispronounced her name.
It's not Kamala. It's
Here we go.
Kamala. I don't know, man.
Who cares?
Miss Harris, man.
The point is, Biden walks up to her, shakes her hand, and says, "Take it easy on me tonight, kiddo."
That's how he talks. Yeah, that's how he talks.
Oh, he calls her a kid though.
Yeah, okay.
Is that the same? Is it what if it was Cory Booker and he said, "Take it easy tonight"?
I would have laughed at it. That's how he
If
talks.
he said, "Hey son, take it easy on me tonight."
That's how he talks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how he talks. Yeah,
so
that's how he
that
talks.
wasn't, that wasn't disparaging.
That's how he talks.
Well, some of your Democratic others
are you holding me up because of that?
I'm holding you up because of what?
Because he said call somebody kiddo.
I like your opinion on it.
My opinion is this is
doesn't
absolutely
matter.
ridiculous
It
that
doesn't
you're
matter.
bringing this up
It
and
doesn't
holding me
matter.
back from
No,
partying
I'm
to
not-
talk about
I'm
that.
not bringing it up. I'm not bringing it up.
You just
What
brought
I'm
it up
saying
in this
is
podcast.
Some of your Democratic counterparts
Who cares?
took offense to it.
Who cares? Everybody
Right?
takes offense to everything.
Joe Biden is calling this fully
Why are we
grown
talking about
professional
offense?
woman a kid. Right?
He didn't call her kid. He said
Take it
kiddo.
easy on me.
Kiddo. It's actually a term of endearment, but he's just old school and he whatever.
So if Trump had said it to her, if Trump had said, "Hey,
Sam,
presidential debate
Sam,
2020,
stop comparing normal human beings to President Trump. Trump is a jackass, so he gets no benefit of the doubt.
So Trump grabs
he gets
her
no
by the hand
benefit of
and
the
says,
doubt.
"Hey, take it easy on me tonight, kiddo," and it would be perfectly okay.
Listen, we could go in a room and I could be speaking to a young lady and I could say, "Hey, babe, how you doing?" And she may smile and move on. Trump, a known sexual predator, okay, says that same thing to her and she may feel creepy inside. So stop comparing Donald Trump to regular human beings. He's not. He's the lowest of the low, man. Now I will, before we go, I did want to, I don't know if you paid attention to this because you just brought up how people get offended. They get offended about everything. Out in, I believe it was San Francisco, did you see this? Where they had some high school out there that had a mural painted of George Washington and owning slaves and how they took the United States from Native Americans. And it was set up as a conversation piece and a history lesson several years old. And now there's people on my side, the liberals, that are saying it needs to be taken down because it's offensive to people. Did you see that?
Wait a minute. So, no, I didn't. So
you didn't see it. Okay. Well, never mind.
If
then.
we could take 30 seconds.
You don't know what's going on.
If we could just take 30 seconds and explain.
The problem we've been running into since this podcast started. Sam doesn't know what the hell's going on.
I'll talk about important stuff, man. There's an historical mural, right, depicting history. The fact that George Washington had slaves.
Correct.
The fact that there were natives here before Christopher Columbus. They're
Correct.
Native Americans. And that's something that you support. That
Yes.
mural is something that you support because it teaches people
Yes.
history and so on and so
Correct.
forth. And the Liberal Democratic Party wants to take it down.
Don't throw the whole liberal Democratic Party on this, man.
well, you said-
Some individuals in that, I guess, on that school board, the school board has voted, and
Take
I
it
think
down.
it was
Why?
well to paint over it. So because they said it's offensive
To
because
who?
it depicts slaves.
Defensive to
Well. I thought initially when I saw it, I thought that there was a slew of black students that had been complaining about it, and then I look up and I see a white woman at a school board meeting, I guess, screaming and crying, saying that her daughter or something was distraught because she has to see black slaves depicted, and I'm like, well,
she didn't want to see black slaves.
not saying that you can't be offended, but I think that there's another group of people that has the right to say whether or not they're offended first before you can be offended. So
you think the mural should be allowed to stay?
Absolutely. I think all the stuff should stay. Yeah.
What stuff should stay?
Any
Not
of the
the Ten
history.
Commandments. The Ten Commandments needs to come down.
Well, that's Ten Commandments.
and oranges.
That's apples and oranges.
George's term of the day.
What I'm talking
The Ten
about.
Commandments comes
I'm talking
down,
about
but
murals.
slavery-
I'm talking about murals like that. I'm talking about Confederate statues. Now, I don't think the Confederate statues should be up, out in public in, at the courthouse, because if nothing else, they lost. So losers don't get statues, but they should be put in a museum. They should move the statues and put them in a museum
like Trump, man.
because people need to know. Because what I'm afraid of is that if we keep whitewashing history, at some point there's going to be a generation of black and brown kids, right, that have no clue about what their ancestors went through, right? And then we look at it and we say, why are black people disproportionately affected by this, and this? Why are black people don't carry as much wealth, are not as educated as whites? And then if you at some point whitewash and kind of erase this history of slavery and segregation, etc., then you may have some kids that actually think that they are inferior, not knowing, okay, the type of trials and tribulations that they've had to overcome or their ancestors had to overcome just to get them where they are now.
No, I agree. I
agree. Okay.
So what do you say to your liberal counterparts who say take it down? Are they wrong?
Yeah, I say they're stupid.
Oh, they're stupid.
I said that's stupid.
Okay.
I try not to insult people like your president does.
LeBron James took some heat this week, man.
Man, I don't want to talk about LeBron, and that's my guy. Yeah, he took some heat because he was dunking in his kids' pregame line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen that. I seen Whitlock said something about it. I don't pay too much attention to Whitlock because he's questionable to me. Yeah. I'm not sure because I don't know him personally. I don't know if he does it for entertainment and shock value or if he actually believes some of the stuff that he says. But it's some of the stuff he says to me is absolutely ridiculous, Trumpian in fact. But I saw that. Yeah, he was out there dunking in the kids' layup line, and people were saying that he's addicted to fame and he's trying to overshadow his kids.
He was
distracting his kids.
Too much. He's basically doing too much at his son's game.
I don't know why. I mean, if my dad was LeBron James, I think I'd want him to be out there dunking. And I think the fans that were there, I'm pretty sure no one in that arena was complaining about LeBron dunking and stuff like that in the warm. Just being there, I bet you was an exciting time for him. Well worth the $5 or $10 they probably paid to get in that game.
Are you ready to tell us who you're voting for in 2020, or you still need a little bit more time?
Well, again, I think one of these last podcasts, you remember what I say more than I do. I told you I'm a Bernie guy, man. I've always been a Bernie guy. I don't think he's going to win it.
Free health care for all, for everybody.
Yeah.
The end of privatized health care.
Yeah.
Government-run health care.
Yeah. But I'm a Bernie guy. I don't think he's going to win it. I think that Elizabeth Warren
forgive everybody student loans.
I think Elizabeth Warren has sabotaged. Well, I shouldn't say sabotage. Has stolen his agenda, and she's a much more charismatic speaker than he is. So that gives her an advantage if they're talking about the same thing. But she's more eloquent when she says it. I'm pretty sure she's younger and a little more. She's got a little more fervor. So he's probably going to be eliminated. I'm thinking it's probably going to be Joe Biden. Joe Biden's got some skeletons in his closet, as everybody does. You know, the supporting of the crime bill. But I think that Joe Biden has probably got the best chance to beat Trump.
So that's who you plan to vote for?
Well,
you're going to vote for who's ever at the top of the Democratic ticket.
Well, yeah. If Trump's the other guy. You know, now, at some point in the future, if there's a reasonable Republican, I wouldn't tell you that I would never vote for a Republican. But as the party is now, I can't vote for him. I can't in good conscience vote for you when you seem to turn a blind eye to racist statements and policies.
Is it okay for a black person to be a Republican?
It is.
Or to be a conservative Republican?
Yeah, you're a grown man or woman. You can be whatever you want. That doesn't mean I have to agree with you.
No, I'm just asking.
And that doesn't mean I hate you either.
Because of some folks, if you say, "Hey, I'm a Republican," and you're an African American, you'll be called a fool, an idiot. How can you be this?
Well, some people. That's how some people are, Sam. Okay. Some people do that type of stuff. Whatever. Some people can't disagree, right, and just move on, right? They can't do it. you and I disagree often on here. And what I'm going to do when I leave here, I'm going to ask you to buy me a drink.
You're just afraid. We don't disagree. You're just afraid to tell the truth to the listening public, man.
Is that what it is?
So you get on here and you do all of this for entertainment.
Son, I can assure you, I speak truth to power.
And then when you get
on here and act like you lost your damn mind.
It's a different story.
Oh, when I go, I'm a closet Republican.
I don't know. Come out the closet.
I can't cast a vote for Trump. I couldn't do it, man.
I'm done, man.
You done? Thank you, man, because I got some partying to do, man. We'll catch you later. Please. Well, never mind. I don't want to say that. If you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. So we'll see you next time, Sam.
Peace.
You've been listening to the Two Opinionated Brothers podcast with Smart Jarvis and Big Sam. Don't forget to like the Facebook page and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Two Opinionated Brothers, and subscribe to our YouTube and SoundCloud at Two Opinionated Brothers.